Hello and welcome back to DXB today, and tonight we're taking a look at how our cities are being reshaped, not just by technology but also by the people that live in them. And our next guest is the founder of MajdTalks and also a sustainability champion, so welcome Majd Fayyad. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
So straight off the cuff, like, what is it that you do and what is it that you are envisioning for the future of Dubai when it comes to urban futures and planning?
Yeah, that's a perfect question. Thank you for having me first. And so when we think of future of cities, as you mentioned, we directly think of digitalization, we think of AI, we think how smart cities will be. But one thing that that is also very important and extremely important to be considered as part of the picture is also climate and climate change. So the top three risks globally are environmental risks. So we need to consider that. And this is why cities as a hub can activate that kind of partnerships and solutions around decarbonization. So for example, using waste to generate energy, using heat in data centers to heat buildings, or using recycled water to district cooling plants and landscaping. So cities play a very important role in decarbonization because cities contribute to 75% of the global emissions. So I think one thing that we need to consider in the future is that cities, not only technological savvy they are, but also they need to respond to the climate crisis.
Definitely. Frank?
Majd, yeah, I want to ask you about ESG because this was one of the most important factors in international finance and investment over the last 10 years, perhaps, but I feel that its influence is fading. What do you think about ESG now, and how does it relate with the kind of sustainability issues that you were discussing?
So sustainability, ESG has grown a lot lately, especially with funders, investors also asking for ESG rating for companies. But and many think that ESG has failed because it's not achieving what the targets it's asked to do. And I think the main issue is the way that we use ESG. It isn't about ESG failing. ESG is used now more as a marketing tool, as a report, as a compliance exercise, rather than as driven by impact. So so that's the main issue. And here we really invite companies to ask if ESG is really integrated in their strategy and operations. And to answer questions like, would my ESG strategy change or my ESG targets change if profits are low? And these questions are really important and really can expose companies when we speak about ESG.
It sounds as though you think it still has a purpose.
It definitely has a purpose. We need companies, we need active participation of the private sector along the public sector in sustainability and social aspects. And that's why it is extremely important for companies to integrate sustainability as part of their strategy from the beginning, to use ESG as a revenue model, as a business model, and not just as a marketing tool.
Majd, we were talking earlier about smart cities and the cities of the future. What do you think what changes first for a city to become a city of the future? Is it transport? Is it the buildings? What are some of the things that you can tell us about?
Amazing question. So when we talk about decarbonization, we think we know that decarbonization needs to happen across all sectors. There are some sectors that are easier to decarbonize. For example, electricity is easier to decarbonize compared to aviation and shipping.
Yeah.
It's easier to decarbonize in new buildings compared to existing buildings. But one also important part is that decarbonization is not going to happen in isolation. You know, so in order to decarbonize buildings, you need steel to be decarbonized and cement to be decarbonized. So that integration is extremely important. So the question isn't which sector would change first, which sector would decarbonize first.
Yes.
The question would be how we can activate these kinds of collaborations, these kinds of partnerships, these kinds of solutions that across different sectors.
Now, we've talked about ESG on, the company side, right? And for our viewers at home, we might need to bring back to what ESG actually means. But going back to what it means for people at home, the word net zero is another word that we keep hearing about, right? And a lot of people think it's very abstract. But can you give us some practical, advice, tips, perspective on what this means for people at home?
So net zero is very simple, honestly. So net zero is the concept where you, first of all, lower your emissions to the maximum, to the lowest level possible, as close as zero. And then you need to capture the remaining carbon in the atmosphere. And that can happen through natural systems like restoring forests or earth ecosystems, or through technology like carbon capture. So the concept is very easy. You just drop your emissions, remove the remainder emissions. How it will influence residents, that's a very interesting topic. And I think thinking about life when net zero settles is life would be easier, I think, for residents. In buildings, they would have easier access or easier control to their temperature, light, because buildings will be smarter. On the roads, they're going to see more electric vehicles, more public spaces, more green spaces, more shaded spaces. So life is beautiful, actually, with net zero. It's not boring at all.
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
Majid, one of the founding principles of Dubai's urban development was the idea of if you build it, they will come. And that has worked very successfully. You know, Dubai has attracted people by building monumental attractions, livable urban environments. But from your sustainability lens, is that still a practical thing to do, to keep on building it? How sustainable is that?
That's a very interesting question, and I think what is important, because building follows demand at the end of the day. And we need to make sure for any sector, as I mentioned before, that it needs to be decarbonized, it needs to be green from the beginning. And there's a lot of strategies that cities like Dubai can consider in terms of new developments. For example, you're focusing on net zero buildings from the beginning, focusing on passive design. If you go to the Bastakia district, Al Fayyad district in Dubai, you would see amazing designs done with no cooling. You know, you have the Bergil where there was no need for cooling, passive design, the orientation of the building. So all of these principles are extremely important to designing net zero buildings. And really, when we, this is something we need to consider, and definitely Dubai is considering, is how to make sure from the beginning that these developments have a positive impact to the environment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Majd, I just wanted to thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And Frank, we're going to be putting you on the hot seat. You've got the XB60.
Yes, Frank, I'm not sure if you've been told, but we're taking you through a little bit of a quiz. But don't worry, I'm sure you know all the answers to the questions. Are you ready?
So.
You've got 60 seconds for quick fire questions.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. So I'm
surprise, surprise.
Don't worry.
I'm nervous all of a sudden. I'm nervous. Yeah.
Oh, don't be nervous. I'm sure you.
Can I phone a friend?
No. But we will have 60 seconds on the clock, please, in 3, 2, 1. As a journalist for 30 years, what surprises you most, in particular, about this region, and specifically the UAE?
Ambition, undoubtedly. The huge ambition that this region has shown and is still showing.
Amazing. Dubai has reinvented itself many times. What's the next reinvention, you think?
Wow, I wish I could read the minds of the policymakers. Dubai has always been a safe haven in troubled times, and I think that it would like to continue that role.
Okay, amazing. Just reminding you, 60 seconds, we've got 30 left. What's the biggest misconception Western audiences have about Gulf business?
About Gulf business in particular? They have lots of misconceptions about the region. About business in particular, I think that it all revolves around oil. And of course, we know in Dubai that that's not the case. Dubai is an oil services center, not an oil hub. It's not about oil.
Amazing. Time's up, but the final question, why Dubai?
Oh, look, I've been here 20 years. It's home. I've developed a whole new life here. It's a very livable place and a very welcoming place.
Amazing stuff. Frank, thank you so much for joining us on
pleasure,
this
absolute
episode.
pleasure. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you here, Majd. Also, thank you so much for your incredible insight. It's been a pleasure to have you both here.